Hey friends, Chad Everett back here with a vinyl update. It's being pretty consistent as of late. Every 2 weeks on a Sunday afternoon, I've been doing these for the last month or two. So I'm not one to break with tradition. So yeah, I got 10 records to show you that I picked up in the last 2 weeks. Some 2014 LPs, some older stuff, just the usual mashup, whatever you want to call it, of stuff. So we'll get right to it. Playing in the background, this is a new pickup for me, a 2014 Fine VC recommended. Sid Arthur. This is an LP called Sound Mirror, again from 2014. This is on the Harvest label. It's playing right now. It's just awesome. Just really proggy, space rock, prog revival type stuff. I've seen a lot of people show this on their channel, so this is an album that I probably would not have picked up had it not been for the VC, because I've not really seen anything about it in the press, but kind of hopping in the VC. This is a gatefold edition, standard black vinyl, nothing really to write home about as far as just a really nice packaging. I mean, it's really thick cardboard, but just great music. Really enjoying it. People that are into King Crimson or stuff like that would probably really enjoy this. From what I understand, they're from England. I don't know a lot about them, other than they make really great music. So yeah, Sid Arthur, Sound Mirror. I endorse this. This is really good. Another 2014 LP that is just an absolute delight. A wonderful album. It's Bob Mould's Beauty and Ruin. Of course, Bob was the singer-songwriter of Husker Du. He's been releasing albums fairly consistently, solo albums, over the last many years. And they've always been sort of hit or miss for me. His last one was called Silver, I don't know what it was, and I did not like it. I did not like it at all. I thought the chord changes were off-putting and the songs weren't all that catchy. Bob just killed this. The thing that really stands out about this album for me are the melodies. Just incredible melodies, songwriting, and hooks. Every song on here is just extremely catchy. This is on the Merge label. Again, not a bad song in the bunch. There's still a lot of energy, a lot of fast pace, and then there's some sort of tender moments too. This is just really good. It'll probably be in my top 10 list. This is just an absolute, again, just a delight. You just put this on and it just sounds great. It's great to see a man of Bob's age still making just such fun, punk rock, for lack of a better word. Just really good. Another 2014 LP. First four all from 2014. Owen Pallet. This is called In Conflict. It's on Domino Records. I think this may be, I don't want to misspeak, this is either his second or third solo album under just his name, Owen Pallet. He used to record under Final Fantasy. Of course, Owen Pallet is a very talented violinist who's played with Arcade Fire. He's done string arrangements for many groups. Very well known in the indie community as well. Like, if you want to do strings on a song and you're an indie pitchfork type person, you call Owen Pallet, apparently. But his solo stuff is really great. His last record was called Heartland. It came out in 2009 or 10, I believe 2010, and it was really good. And he's not done anything since then as far as his solo work. He's played on all the Arcade Fire records and stuff like that. But I was very interested to see what direction he took from Heartland. And this is phenomenal. This is just really good. And also, kind of interesting, Brian Eno is in the band on this one. Brian plays on almost a little over half the tracks. Does some singing, some playing. So that's a good stamp of approval to have. Brian Eno is willing to basically be your backing band. That really says something about the talent, genius of Owen Pallet. What's interesting about this record is that it's a much more poppier record for Owen. There's all the lyrics there. much more poppy and straightforward and accessible compared to Heartland, which was very. Heartland had some tracks that I believe were just like violin and Owen's voice, where this is. It's if Owen Pallet tried to make a pop record, that's what this is. Don't get me wrong, you're not going to hear anything like this, on mainstream pop radio, but it's very accessible. It's a very good place to start if you're interested in who Owen Pallet is. But I thought he really took some risks in stripping his sound down and going in this direction, and it really paid off. He did it very nice. The production is fantastic, as you would expect. Not a lot of complaints on this album at all. Very, very solid release from Owen Pallet in Conflict. Last 2014 LP is also really, really good. On Sacred Bones Records, this is called Amen Dunes. Is the name of the band. This album is simply called Love. I had never heard Amen Dunes before, and this was a blind buy for me. I thought the band name was really cool. I thought the cover art was cool, and I'm very partial to Sacred Bones. They put out a lot of good stuff. I like that Sacred Bones puts out such experimental music, and they really do. So I was in the mood for something experimental, just blind buy, and also the hype sticker got me on this one. I'm going to read this to you. Elemental new songs for fans of John Lennon's Plastic Ono Band, The War on Drugs, and Pharoah Sanders. So there you go. I mean, if that doesn't lure you in, then what are you doing in a record store? So. And it really lives up. It's very experimental. Kind of does sound like John Lennon, Plastic Ono Band, Pharoah Sanders, and The War on Drugs. But nice, clear vinyl there. I believe this is a limited pressing. But I don't know what you call it. It's kind of druggy folk. I can't really describe it. It's very experimental folk, I guess you would call it. But the vocals are certainly not for everyone. The vocals are very acquired, but I think that it really works. I've certainly never really heard anything that sounds like this, so I endorse it. It's really great, and there's some very catchy songs, believe it or not. So, Amen Dunes on Sacred Bones. Check it out. Here's a reissue that I've seen some people show that I also owe this to the VC, because I probably wouldn't have picked this up if it hadn't been for people showing this. I think Roger Coleman showed this. This is Largy Celestial Music. This is a compilation of Largy's, I hope I'm saying that right, his music from 1978 to 2011. This is a triple LP set. Unfortunately not a gatefold, but there's 3 LPs in there. And again, this spans almost 30 years of this man's career. He's just really, you could say this is new agey, but I think it's a lot deeper than that. I think that calling something new age is just too broad of a brush stroke for this. There's some collaborations with Brian Eno. I'm not sure what instruments he's even playing on this. It's just extremely peaceful, experimental type music. Again, some stuff with Eno, a lot of collaborations on this. Just really, really good ambient stuff. I'd never heard of this guy before, and thanks to the VC, I think I checked him out, and I think he's really, really good. So if you're into that type of stuff, worth checking out. It's fairly reasonable too for 3 LP set. Very nice to have in the background while you're working on something. Very good stuff. Another reissue. Caribou's first album. This is not his first album at all. Sorry, I don't know what I was thinking. Caribou's album from 2005, The Milk of Human Kindness. I'm a really big Caribou fan. I think Dan really can do no wrong. And I was first introduced to Caribou's 2010 LP Swim, and I went back, and they just recently reissued these, which they've been out of print for quite a while. And I decided to go with The Milk of Human Kindness first. Just a great album from Caribou. An interesting place in the discography where I think something like Swim is a fully formed version of his sound. This is on the train tracks on the way to getting there, but it's very, very good. Some interesting sampling, interesting sounds all around. Great production. So you got a few more here. Here's a used jazz buy that I got a really good deal on. Just $8 in the used bin. John Coltrane and Pharoah Sanders live in Seattle. 2 LP set on Impulse. As you can see, a lot of ringware. This has been very loved over the years. This is still coming from that same collection that I'm getting all my John Coltrane and Pharoah Sanders from. Some guy bought all these in the 70s, and every couple of weeks I think he comes into the record store and trades them in. I've gotten Coltrane's live in Japan. I got Black Unity from Pharoah Sanders. I got Village of the Pharaohs, and I know it's him because I've been taking the name off, but you can still see his name. He would put a label on his records in the 70s with his name on it. And it's a Knoxville address, and again, they're just sort of trickling out of this guy's collection. A lot of Impulse stuff, a lot of Coltrane, a lot of Pharoah, and just happened to be there for this one. A lot of wear on it, but it just sounds great. There's never been any issues with the playing of these records, even though they're kind of beat. The LPs themselves are in really great shape. This is a really great set from Train and Pharoah. McCoy's on this. I believe Elvin's still in the band. Yeah, this is right. Yeah, obviously Coltrane, Pharoah, McCoy, Donald Garrett on bass clarinet, Jimmy Garrison, Elvin Jones. So this is right before Coltrane hooks up with Rashid Ali and Alice. I mean, I guess he's already up with Alice, but they joined the band, and there's that later Train. This is right before that, and pushing the limits of more traditional guys like Elvin Jones. As far as the free jazz, really solid set. Been on this one for a while, couldn't pass that up. 3 more. Another jazz offering from the Coltrane family. This is Illumination. This is a collaborative LP from Alice Coltrane and Carlos Santana from 1974. This is on Columbia. Didn't really know what to expect for this. I get excited when I hear Alice Coltrane. I get a little unexcited when I think Carlos Santana. Although Carlos Santana in the early 70s made some decent music. This is okay. This is not great. It's an interesting experiment hearing the harp and those type of pleasing sounds with Carlos's electric guitar. Some songs work, some songs don't. It's an interesting chance for the two artists, though, to hear them try to make their sound fit with each other. Really interesting artwork there. This was in the used bin for $7, and I couldn't pass it up just because of Alice Coltrane. Really nice copy. I listened to it twice, and again, some of it works, some of it doesn't, but I am a completist when it comes to Alice Coltrane, trying to fill in all the stuff. So, and this is not one, it's not very hard to find, but I've never seen it before in a while, so couldn't believe it. And 2 more. Fantastic hip hop LP from 2006. I got this really cheap. It was still sealed for $7. Ghostface Kills Fish Scale. Again, still in the original shrink. This is an original pressing. Ghostface. This is Ghostface. Probably, in my opinion, Ghostface's second best LP behind Supreme Clientele. Phenomenal production, phenomenal flow. Just a really great batch of songs. Ghostface is one of those MCs that really about every 5 years, in my opinion, Ghostface has a classic LP, where it's 1995's Iron Man, 1999's Supreme Clientele, 2006's Fish Scale, and then 2011's 12 Ways to Die. I think it averages out to be about 5 years that he puts out a really classic hip-hop album, in my opinion. Along the way, there's some not-so-classic albums like Apollo Kids, or there's ones that he puts out a lot of work and not all of it's good, but this is a good one. This is a really good one, and I was shocked to see it in the shrink for that price. I don't know why that was the case. I just picked it up and bought it. So there you go. Again, probably not all that rare, but just still, that's an excellent deal. And lastly, classic album from the 80s, Devo, Freedom of Choice. This is my favorite Devo record. I mean, most people's favorite record, obviously, a lot of the big hits, Girl You Want Whip It, but I'm a big fan of the song Gates of Steel. Really like Freedom of Choice. There's just a lot of great songs on this, and what a unique band to actually have a look and everything that's so iconic. Great songwriting, great playing. Devo, Freedom of Choice, just never had this one for whatever reason. So there you go, 10 new albums. Hope everyone in the VC is doing well. Leave me some comments if you care to. I will be back in probably about 2 weeks. See you then.